This is Tanya Jacobs of Nu Lambda Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha, back one more time for our third conversation with Doris Makongo, the beautiful Doris Makongo of Amani Women's Center. And we're just chatting about the refugee experience here in Atlanta or in America. And she has been very enlightening so far. And so we just want to continue that conversation. So this time, I want to talk about what are some of the misconceptions that a lot of Americans, or Atlanteans at least, have about refugees and specifically our community or in general?
Well, wow, Tanya, thank you so much for that question, because I feel like it's one of the biggest barriers for folks wanting to help refugees. It's because they don't understand why refugees are here. And so to kind of add on to what I've been talking about, refugees come to the United States legally, so they are actually invited to come to the United States. Every year, the president of the United States sets a cap of how many refugees can be admitted into the United States.
Okay.
So I believe currently with the Biden administration, we have a 125,000 cap.
Okay. And that worldwide, is that segmented by place? Like only 10,000 can come from Zimbabwe, or something like that, or 5,000 can come from Canada, or what have you. Is it segmented like that, or is it just whoever gets there first?
It seems like there is a process there that I'm not quite sure. But it feels like from what I have seen over the past few years, it is always a diverse group of folks.
Okay.
They may be more from a particular country than others. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, for instance, lately, most of them come from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay.
In the years past, we've seen a lot of refugees coming from Bhutan.
Okay.
So maybe that's determined again by the resettlement agencies and maybe the order in which you are in the pipeline, maybe. So I'm not quite sure about that process.
So it's some mysterious government process.
Right.
Okay. Like a lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when the president determines how many folks come here, then, the resettlement agencies prepare themselves to receive the refugees. For instance, I'm sure we are all aware of the Afghani situation.
Yes.
And so right now, I believe Georgia has been assigned about a little over 1,000 Afghanis will be coming to Georgia.
Okay.
So you have to remember that different states also receive different numbers of refugees. So again, I think what we're trying to clarify here is that by the time a refugee gets here, they have been vetted, they have been given the proper legal or undergone a proper legal process. Mm-hmm. So by the time they get here, they're able to start working, going to school, mm-hmm. and all those things that if you're here illegally, you cannot do that.
Right.
And
right.
So that's usually a way to differentiate someone who is documented and not documented, is that they're able to work, they're able to go to school, they have access to social services. Okay. And yeah, so that's a good way to be able to determine the difference. And they have paperwork that indicates refugee status and ID, forms of identification. So They can always produce that documentation when they're applying for something,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Yeah.
And so the vetting process, what are they vetting? That they have a legitimate cause? Is that what they're vetting?
That's one of the things. The criminal background check,
Okay.
they want to make sure that folks who are coming here are good folks, um, harmless. So I'm sure it takes long because when you are transplanted from your home,
Yes.
you probably didn't or think about carrying your birth certificate with you, or a lot of things.
Right.
And so I can understand why it would take a while to figure out, are you really who you say you are? And are these your children? Is this really your wife? Stuff like that.
Thinking to myself that must be a difficult process and contribute to how long it takes, because it's not like you can call down the street and say, hey, do you know so and so, and are they a good person? And you can't contact the law enforcement agency and say, hey, can you run a background check real quick? So it just adds to the length of time, I'm sure. So
Yes.
the vetting process, I'm sure, is just long and involved. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So any other misconceptions that we might have that we can clear up?
Well, one major misconception I feel like folks need to know is refugees are really hardworking folks, very
Yes.
hardworking. And they tend to work jobs that you and I don't want to work. Those are the jobs they end up working at. Like I mentioned, the chicken, poultry,
Yes.
factories
And
that are
that's
so
that I had.
far away.
It's like, I'm in Gainesville.
Right.
Okay.
Most of us don't want to drive to Gainesville, and so they come and take those jobs, and they're very grateful for those jobs. And they're not, well, at one point they were earning minimum wage over there, but it seems like over the years that has changed. But when I started doing this work, they were all earning minimum wage, working very difficult jobs in very cold environments. And so that's one myth I hope to dispel out of this conversation is that these folks are here and they're hardworking and they're working jobs that we typically don't want to work. And given an opportunity, they're eager to learn new skills. And they work extensively long hours, maybe up to 12 hours for some of them in a day.
Right.
And so I think it's important that we understand that they're not here to take jobs from anyone, and they just need an opportunity to live a life where they are safe. And just like any of us, they want the best for their families and their children to get a good education.
Right.
And, and they're very friendly and very, very hospitable.
Yes. Yes.
I like to share a story about how when I first started working in the refugee community and I went to do a home visit. And when I arrived, they offered me a meal. And I thought to myself, wow, they just arrived to a new country. They hardly have anything. And they want to share a meal with me.
That's beautiful.
And that has always just stuck to my heart, because I think of, folks who have nothing and so insistent on me sharing a plate of food with them. And the story gets even more exciting because they served me a plate of food and I'm sitting there wondering why they're not eating. But it didn't dawn onto me until later that that was the only cutlery they had. That was the only plate and that was the only spoon.
Oh, Wow.
And, and so, but they were so gracious, you know. So it speaks volumes to the kind of people we're welcoming to our country and in our backyards, right here in our backyards.
That's a beautiful story. I am it. I mean, I know a lot of us know that refugees, or hopefully know that the refugees coming here are hardworking and that they just want to live. And something you said, they just want to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we all want. We want ourselves to be safe. We want our children to be safe. We want to be able to go and do what we need to do and come back to a place to live.
Yes.
So I really appreciate you speaking on that experience and what we might need to have in our minds when we're thinking about refugees. And they just want what everybody else wants, which is a place to call home. So I thank you for this information. And next time we'll talk a little bit more specifically about the Amani Women's Center, which does amazing things. And so I appreciate your time once again, and I'll see you next time.
Looking forward to it, Tanya.
I look forward to it as well.
Thank
Have a good
you.
day.
You
Bye-bye.
too.